How do you get the 100-fold blessing? And I'm here to tell you there's even a greater blessing beyond the 100-fold. But how do you get it? Stay tuned. I am about to tell you. Welcome to Brothers of the Word, because, brother, you need the Word. And today we're going to be studying from the New Testament, the book of Matthew, 13th verse, beginning at the first verse. And these are verses that you've heard countless times before. On the same day, Jesus went out of the house and sat by the sea. And great multitudes were gathered together to him, so that he got into a boat and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore. Then he spoke many things to them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went out to sow. And as he sowed, some seed fell by the wayside, and the birds came and devoured them. Some fell on stony places where they did not have much earth, and they immediately sprang up because they had no depth of earth. But when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprang up and choked them. But others fell on good ground and yielded a crop, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. And I want to add, let her hear. And today's message is simply called the 6 levels of multiplication. The 6 levels of multiplication. Jesus gave us the 100, the 60, and the 30. But there are 3 more levels of multiplication. First, there's the 100 plus. God is not limited to multiplying your stuff 100-fold or multiplying your seed 100-fold. God can bless you far beyond the 100. We have a member here who made an investment about 14 years ago. He made a $3 investment. And for those of you who are here, many of you remember that, you understand that. That $3 turned into a whole, it was way beyond 100. God can bless you way beyond 100. James and I have an investment pending right now. We don't know whether it's going to come through or not. It's about a 20-25% chance of it coming through. But if it does come through, it will yield a 7,131-fold multiplication from what we put in it. So God can bless you way beyond the 100. That's one. Then Jesus gave you the 100, the 60, and the 30. That's 4. The 5th multiplication factor is 0. You can put your seed somewhere and nothing happens. You lose everything. Nothing ever comes from it. There's no 30. There's no 60. There's no 100. There's no 100 plus. It's 0. You get absolutely nothing back. And the 6th level of multiplication is negative. See, negative is a multiplier. You multiply anything by something negative is what? Negative. It comes back negative. Do you know Jesus talked about putting the seed in the ground? But men, do you know if you put your seed in a bad woman, you will end up paying for that thing for the next 18 plus years, not just with money, but with headache and all kind of baby mama drama. Women, do you know if you let a bad man put his seed in you, you will end up struggling the rest of your days because that rascal won't do right. He won't be there. All kind of issues can happen. And that will produce from just a microscopic seed a negative multiplied infinitely. So those are the 6 levels of blessings. But today I want to talk to you about a parable. Jesus said that he spoke and he taught to the people in parables. These were stories. And I got a story for you today. Oftentimes I have stories, and parables teach me almost better than anything else because you don't forget a story, especially when it happens to you. We have some condos in Florida, and often I will go there. And I went there a couple of weeks ago. And as I pulled into the gate, they have a guard at the gate. And I have a little sticker that lets them know that I'm an owner. But when I pulled into the gate, the guard, who was a lady, they have men and women guards, but it was a lady, and it was late at night that I was getting there. And she looked at me, and she said, "Thank you. Thank you." And I wasn't sure what she was talking about. So I was kind of flabbergasted because I didn't quite fully understand why she was thanking me so intensely. I drove on in, had my trunk open, and I was getting my stuff out. She walked over to me, and she said, "The last time you were here, you left some money with the office, and you told the office lady to divide this up among the guards. There are 5 of us. And you left $100, and you told the lady to divide this up, and it gave each of us $20. She said, "You don't realize it, but on that day, I did not have gas money. And that $20 was a lifesaver. It was a lifeline from God. And it may not have been much to you. You may not have understood it, but that day, that made it. Now, I was there about 4 days. I drove in and out past those guards. None of the other 4 said a thing. And all of them knew who I was. All of them knew who had given them the money. None of the other 4 said a thing. When the lady told me that, as she walked away, I heard God speak. "I want you to bless her 60-fold beyond what you did before. So I want you to take the 20, and I want you to multiply it 60-fold. Now, it is interesting that the sermon that I had just preached was called The 10 Blessings of Being Grateful. It's sermon 2035. So I had just preached that sermon, and here I was standing in the midst of the manifestation of seeing that. Hear this lady, even though it wasn't that much, none of the other guards had said a word. Hear this lady thanking me just with eyes watering from the depths of her heart. And here God says, multiply that 60-fold. So I walked over. As a matter of fact, I don't even think this was at night. This was the next day because I go in and out multiple times. It actually wasn't that night that I arrived. It was the next day. So I walked over to her, and I said, I just hear God saying for me to sow a financial blessing into your life. I said, do you have a Cash App tag where I can Cash App you the money? And she said, yeah, I got Cash Apps. Let me pull it up and get money. So she pulled it up, got her tag. I said, well, I'll send you something. It took me a couple of days to send it because, to be honest, I didn't have that much money in my Cash App. And I had to transfer it, and it took a couple of days for it to get over there. So it took me a minute to get it together. See, sometimes your blessing is on the way, but it's being held up. It's on the way. See, some of y'all got some stuff on the way. You just can't get there right now. So I couldn't just send it right now. And I said, no, I ain't got that much in there. So I couldn't send it till I transferred it over from my regular account, transferred it over to Cash App, and that took a minute. So when it finally got there, the next day after she had received the money, when I pulled into the gate, she reached into her pocket and she handed me a letter. And I want to read the letter to you. I pray you receive a prophet's reward. Now, she didn't know anything about me being, she didn't know who I was. She didn't know, all she knew was that the man who drove the convertible Tesla left the money. That's all she knew. She didn't know my name, none of that. So she begins off the letter, I pray you receive a prophet's reward. For every step I have taken with you has been God-led. When you entered on yesterday, I remembered you, and I thanked you at the gate. And this is the other part. Now, this is why you got to be obedient and sensitive to the Spirit of God. But the Spirit of the Lord spoke to me and said, go to him and personally thank him. Now, this was $20. Go to him and personally thank him. So I did. See, the Spirit of the Lord is talking, it doesn't talk to a lot of us. The problem is we don't get to that so I did. The Spirit of the Lord has spoken to a lot of us, but we never get to the so I did. If she had not been obedient to what God had said do, she never would have gotten to 64. Now, you wouldn't have, here God said, go, just walk up to him. But Lord, it's only $20. Go thank him. Go personally thank him. And go tell him. When you do what God tells you to do, you have no idea what the blessing is. So I did. Some saw it was just $20. Those were the other 4 guards. It ain't but $20. Matter of fact, I got to be choicy about where I even go eat lunch because a lot of places cost more than $20. This ain't even enough to buy lunch in a lot of places. Some saw it as just $20, but I saw it as help in the time of need. Now, gas is expensive. Gas now is, well, $20, it won't fill up any car that I know. It will barely fill up my motorcycle that I used to drive. Won't fill up any car. Matter of fact, $20, I have a Miata. $20 won't even half fill that up. It won't even halfway fill it up. So $20 of gas is not going to get you a long way, but it'll get you further than you were going. So some saw it as just $20, but I saw it as help in the time of need. I have wanted to give up more than once. I have struggled in my finances for a while, for I am disabled because I had 2 heart attacks some years ago, and I have 5 kids, 3 with no father. But I am determined and willing to keep pressing my way. This job don't pay much, and I miss my kids working 12-hour shifts from 4 in the morning to 4 in the evening, getting up at 2 a.m. I'm tired. But it is in times like these that I have come to know my God. And people like you have showed me truly how much he loves me. He is my provider. He is my waymaker. He is my God. You have no idea the burden you have taken off of me, for I am behind on a lot of my bills, but you have blessed me with enough to pay at least 3 of them. Thank you for being obedient. And I pray that whatever you stand in need of, that God will bless you the same way he has blessed me. Thank you. Her name is Natisha. Her last name begins with a B. She got the same initials I do. And it's dated 4/11. 11. 411 is a number of information. Another case, when someone had asked me to give them something and I wouldn't do it. I'd help the person a whole lot of times, but I wasn't going to do what they asked me to do. Lip poked out, became non-communicative, and you could tell, see, they had become what's called entitled. I'm not related to them. They don't work for me. They've never done anything for me. I don't owe them anything. And I helped them I don't know how many times before. Don't owe them a thing. But they're getting mad because you don't do what they want you to do then. Because you won't give them what they want you to give them right then. They get mad, poked up, get all kind of attitude. And when that happens, it's the opposite of the multiple blessings. When that happens, instead of God saying, give them 64, God said, don't give them nothing else. The ungrateful fools, don't give them nothing else. Well, technically, don't give them anything else. So you've got different extremes. You've got the extreme of being extremely grateful and the other extreme of being entitled and then upset. Because I'm going to tell you people, God is not going to do what you want him to do when you want him to do it. And neither will folk. God is not going to do what you want him to do when you want him to do it. He's not going to give you what you want, how you want. Now, sometimes God will bless you beyond your wildest dreams. But most of the time, you're waiting on this stuff. And you wondering, Lord, what about all the when? Where? How? God is not going to follow your whims and your will. So you better get that in your head real good. And you need to learn how to be grateful for what God has granted you. I get to church this morning, I look out over the congregation, we got a real light crowd because it's raining outside. I am thankful for every person who's here. You can easily get comparative. You can easily say, do you know how many blessings this church has? And even when the crowd is small, we ain't in no trouble. We're in great shape. So you can, and this is one of the most beautiful sanctuaries I've ever seen in my life. We got so much to be thankful for. There's so much peace. There's so much joy. There's so much love here. We've never had a strife or a major incident. It's just been a blessing upon blessing upon blessing. But you can look at one little thing and say, Lord, there ain't a whole lot of men folk here today. I'm so depressed. And that shuts your multiplication down when you have not been appreciative of what you've already been granted. And the third case was me. I recognized, Lord, don't ever let me get like that person number 2. Let me stay like that guard. Let me guard my thankfulness. Let me guard my gratefulness. Don't ever let me get like that second person. Because if I do, you're going to shut me down. Don't ever let me start taking for granted what you have granted me. Don't ever let me start talking about, Lord, well, you ought to do this for me. Why? What have you done for God lately? Why? God has granted you and given you everything. So why do you think God got to do for you? He just loves you. But God can get rough. Have you all read your Bible lately? Especially the Old Testament, that same God. God can get rough. So we need to always make sure that we maintain our gratefulness and don't forget about the stuff he's done. And I'm becoming more and more of that mentality now. Not so much God grant me, but Lord, thank you. Thank you. If I don't want to speak this because I done seen a lot of stuff I speak just come to pass. But if another preacher was standing and just drop dead right then, I'm thankful for every day I've already had. I've had such a blessed life that if something happened, just drop dead right now, I am thankful because the life has been so. But I mean, I'm not speaking that. I'm just using that example of how grateful I am because I just have seen stuff happen. I remember I was talking about something. We used to have kind of a vagrant fellow who would come here, and I mentioned that he had died. And he said, Pastor, he ain't dead. I thought he was dead. I found out the next week, the minute after I spoke it, he dropped dead. I said, I got to be careful about what I speak. So I'm just using this as an example. I'm going to be here a long time. It's not me. But I really feel that every day. And I'm learning when he spoke to me the other day, just enjoy the day. I'm enjoying every minute without worrying about what's coming or what has been. I am so thankful for what God has already done for me. And when you get that way, AV, if you got that video clip, this is where I stayed on my last
This is Coach Bronner, and I am getting ready to leave Columbia, South Carolina. I've been here for a few days, a typical off day, and this is where I have been staying. This is it's actually I guess you'd call it kind of a mobile home trailer, but it's where I've been for the last 4 nights, and it's really been nice. Now, of course, I could have stayed somewhere else, but I'm an adventurer, and I like to experience different things, and I'd never quite stayed in a mobile trailer like this, but actually, it's really, really very nice. Very, not overly spacious, but it had all the room I needed. Bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, shower, basically everything. Flat screen TV, everything. So, it's been a pleasant trip. Sometimes you don't need 5-star. You just need to be 5-star in here. It's Coach Bronner, getting ready to leave my luxury accommodations. I'll see you tomorrow.
Now, a lot of people wonder about stuff like that. It's Pastor, you can afford to stay anywhere you want, and I can. Well, not anywhere, because when we were in Grenada, they showed us a little island that's $60,000 a night. I can't stay there. But I can stay most places. But it doesn't matter. I wanted to stay in that little trailer, and it was just as nice as it can be. It's not out there, folk, and that's why people get deluded and disillusioned. It's not out there. And I've been in some of the fanciest 5-star places, but that little place, it was clean, it was neat, it was small, and I was grateful to be there. And I enjoyed every part of it. Because the 5-star is in here, it's not out there. And that's why it's a whole lot of these folk in all these big old mansions just as miserable as they can be. And if you get your heart right, and you get your mind right, and you become, and this is another thing, everywhere you are, there's something right and there's something wrong. In every person, there's something right and there's no perfection in the material plane. And your joy will depend upon whether you're going to focus on the stuff that's right or the stuff that's wrong. Nobody has a perfect body. Everybody got something wrong with these bodies. It's going to be there, but I am thankful for the stuff that's working. I am thankful just for the blessing. And when I was in that little trailer, I was just as thankful. You had to pump the toilet with your foot. And some of the people said, Pastor, that's a shame. You just ought not to be in a place where you got to pump the toilet with your foot. But I appreciate it because I've been in a place where I couldn't put toilet tissue down. And when James and I were staying, we had to bring baggage to put our dirty toilet tissue. That pump felt good compared to that. See, a lot of things you just got to appreciate. And see, any kind of commode feels good when you're in an outhouse, so it just depends. So it's levels, but it's not the thing. Get that through your head. You have to learn to be grateful for everything God has granted you. And when you learn to be grateful, it changes everything and it causes the multiplication. God is not going to multiply your discontent with blessings. He's not going to multiply your complaining. He's not going to multiply you always talking about what you don't have. God is going to multiply. That's why when he got ready to bring the children, he told Moses, what's in your hand? He's got to multiply what you have and what you appreciate and what you utilize. You can't use anything you don't have. So when you become cognizant and thankful for all of the blessings God has given you, it changes. It changes. It changes. It changes. I even preached a sermon a while back called Grateful or For Granted or As Granted. You know, you can take stuff for granted or you take stuff as granted. It's Sermon 5970. Some of y'all need to go back and listen to that. Because you need to have an attitude of one or the other. You're going to take stuff for granted, that you're entitled to it, that you just ought to have this and you ought to have more, or you take stuff as granted. Lord, thank you for what you've already given me. And do you know you can bless a thankful person a lot more? You just can. You can bless a thankful person a lot more. Being thankful for the $20 that buys you gas will open the gateway for the 60-fold blessing. He didn't give you what you wanted today, and your lip is poked out, and that'll mess up your blessings for the future. And this morning, I said, Lord, you picked the middle blessing. Now, I ain't complaining about it because you'd have picked the other one. I had to give more. And he said, I picked the 60. And I didn't give her the 100-fold because I want you to open up the opportunity for others to bless her. So I'm going to do something I've never done in all of the 30 years of ministry. I'm going to give you her Cash App handle. And you can send her something directly if you want to. You read her letter. Ain't no scam. I ain't going to get into the money. I ain't romantically involved with the woman. And so don't. Some of y'all may say, well, I bet I want that pastor. No, none of that going on. Because folk will think that. In some cases, it's true. So stuff happen. But all this is above board. That letter was real. And I always just ask God. Ask God, Lord, first of all, it helps us to appreciate some of the struggles we think we have. She got to get up at 2 o'clock every morning with 5 kids, no man. So she gets up 2 o'clock every morning, works from 4 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon with a very low-paying job, and then comes back to see about 5 kids and gets up the next day to start it all over again. What's your complaint about life? She's been through 2 heart attacks. She's disabled. What's your complaint about life? And sometimes it just helps you to hear another person's story, and you realize, well, Lord, I got it pretty good. And you fussing about a husband who won't take out the trash on time. You fussing about a wife who don't cook your dinner is 5 minutes late. So we got some things that we are so blessed with, and we just don't recognize it. So for those of you who are just led to, now when you go to Cash App, they'll have a 4, and you can put up to 50 characters in that. But I want you to put for sermon 2036 at BrothersOfTheWord.com. Now, if you got some more space, you can type whatever you want to type in there. So she'll at least know where it is coming from. Sermon 2036 at BrothersOfTheWord.com. So she'll go and listen to this sermon, and she'll know where this comes from. Now, this is her Cash App. $TESHAB01. Let me put that in military language. $Tango Echo Sierra Hotel Alpha Bravo 01. $TESHAB01. And that'll go to her. And that will take her to the 100-fold. And that's another principle about life. If you want to be multiplied, multiply somebody else. Help somebody else. Don't just be thinking all about just me and mine. And the closer I get to God, one of the things, now that little trailer that I stayed in, on Friday, I spent half of my day working on his gate. That wooden gate that I opened, if you notice it, when I opened it, it closed right back. When I got there, it wasn't like that. He had a hook, and the gate was off balance, so they took a whole lot of muscle to get the hook out and then open the gate. I said, look, would you mind if I repaired your gate and put an automatic closer on? I said, won't cost you a thing. I just want to do this just to bless you. He just never had an Airbnb person even talk about it. They usually contact him to complain about something. So I spent half a day on Friday working on his gate. Matter of fact, I got a blister right here in my hand because I had to screw in about 20 screws in some really hard wood. But I felt good doing it, even though I was spending the time, spending the money to help somebody else. When you help others, it always returns blessed and multiplied. Always, always, always. So this lady will benefit from whatever you do. And I'm not telling you to do anything. It's just up to you if you're led to do it. But I can tell you this. Helping others helps you more. There's something about it that changes your heart and opens up the gateways of heaven. And none of this is coming back to the church. This is all going outside of the church. But that's what the church is for. So if you're led to help her, go to Cash App. You have her handle, and you can send whatever you decide. Can I give it one more time? All righty. All right, let me put this one more time. Cash App. $TESHAB01. That's $Tango, Echo, Sierra, Hotel, Alpha, Bravo, 01 for sermon 2036 at BrothersOfTheWord.com. Thank you for joining us today at Brothers of the Word. Because, brother, you need the Word. I'm going to ask Pastor James to close us out for today.